So, now that I've finished the other painting, I am going to scrape down my palette, which is just a thick piece of glass. And it's on a little wooden base that I created out of some MFD board. And put a little edge on it. And underneath, I put white paper. So now I can just take a razor and I can scrape all this off into a pile, as you can see.
But what are you using to scrape it?
I told you.
What? Let me see. What? It's filthy.
My little razor. Bladed razor. So you can get, now this, the problem with this, when you get one of these things, is you're just pushing pretty hard. Unlike most people using this thing. And so it'll automatically close it, and I don't like that. So I took an actual screw and I screw it into the top of this thing, so that keeps it from actually moving. So when I want to remove the blade and stuff, I can take that screw out. And it's just wedged in there. These are the colors that I plan on using for the underpainting of the little girl. Each painting's a little bit different, but for the most part, I try to use the same type of grays and burnt umbers or raw siennas, just to bring out some basic color underneath that will show through when I actually start putting on flesh tones. I'm going to try in one complete color. I think I'm going to try and do multiple colors. So you got to get nice and liquidy. There you go. That's a pretty color. Let's test it and see what it looks like. Oh yeah, see, that has kind of an orangey color to it. So the orange I'm putting on her jacket is the complement of the dark bluish Payne's gray that her jacket's going to be. Her hat has a lot of orange in it, so I'm going to darken that green down a little bit. I'm not making it as blue as I thought I would because I'm going to later put the dark blue on top. In the background, I'm going to kind of keep with this grayish green, but I'm going to add more green to it. That will tie together. Okay. So there's that. Now I'm going to go with this greenish, add a little white. I'm going to add a little more turpentine. I'll probably need some more green. Bean green, yep, I need more bean green. I need more beanie green.
We all need more green beans
We all
in our
need
life.
more green beans.
Green beans.
There we go. There we go. And now I'm going to let this dry overnight, and then I'll come back and start blocking in all of the values. Alright, I've already started this, as you can see, and I'm working upside down. That way I don't have to worry about anything looking realistic. I'm just going to focus on the dark areas, the light areas, and the shapes. That's my goal. And I'm also squinting my eyes just a little bit to blur it out, blur the picture out.
Just take your glasses off.
Yeah, I could just take my glasses off. But this way I can refocus real fast. And the idea is to find out where the subtle changes in the value go. And here's an interesting thing I've noticed. So there's the darkish blue. This is more of a Payne's gray, bluish color, which we'll talk about here in a second. And it follows up around this side of her head, and it turns into a real pretty gray along with the hair, which is going to make the hair stand out in this area. And then it slowly goes back around to more of the oranges, and then the sun hits it over here and it's bright oranges and yellows. Which means I have to put a base coat down first, which I've already started. And I want to use the opposite, or the complementary, of the orange. So it's going to be kind of a bluish color. That's what this is too. I'm also going to outline some of those little hearts that I have drawn on there, and I'm going to use an orangish color. Now let me show you some of the things I'm using down here. For the blues, I'm going to be using the cerulean blue, and that's right over here, and I'll just use it a tiny bit. I've also got a Payne's Gray, because it almost has a blue, and you can't tell it's Payne's Gray. I was going to put a marker, Payne's Gray, but that's Payne's Gray. It almost has a bluish gray tint to it. My sap green, which is right there, and my crimson, which is right there, make a really, really nice dark brownish rust color. And I'll add a little bit of raw umber to that. And so those are the basic colors I'm going to be using. I still have white here. I'm still going to be using this green bean green occasionally. It just depends. I'm going to be wiping a lot away also, particularly in the hair area. So I'm going to start roughing stuff in. The face I'm going to put a little more detail in, and that's going to be more of the sap green and crimson. And I'll even thin it down a little bit. And I'm going to use this angled brush. It's fairly inexpensive. I go through them pretty quickly. I have a hard time keeping them from spraying out because I scrub a lot with my brushes. But this is a flat angle and I like it. I have different sizes. And this one's about right for this size. The eyes I'm going to rough in pretty easily. There's a very light blue to them, but that'll come in later. I am going to make sure I get the details in the eyes as far as the eyelids and such, and those are actually kind of red. So I'm going to put those in. Later I'll kind of block in some of the simple grays. But this is the basic eyes. And I want to make them bigger than they look in the picture. And their nostrils are at an angle. I'm not going to put too much in the way of edges around her nostrils. And it's kind of a greenish color. And I'm not using any mediums. It's just odorless mineral spirits. Pretty cheap. Odorless mineral spirits. That way I can retain the smell of the oils.
Now that I'm blocking in color, I'm not going to make it as dark as you would normally think, because later on I will be putting some dark blues over the top of it. What I'm really focused on are getting the subtle value changes on the face and blocking in the bigger areas of dark value. Also, I want to put some focal points in the picture itself, such as the shapes that are on her jacket and areas in her hat that I think are going to be blurred out later on. Notice I'm actually wiping some of the paint away with a paper towel. A very good technique if you think that there are some areas that have too much paint or you want to have some soft edges. So the blocking is pretty much done. Next time, I'm going to start in on the flesh tones. I hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching.